Hi everyone. I've got like 5 or 10 minutes of doing nothing, and so I saw Wakanda Forever yesterday. Absolutely loved it, so I thought I'd talk about it. Lots of spoilers here. If you haven't seen the movie, go see it, and come back here and hear what I have to say. Yeah, just overall amazing. Definitely a worthy successor to the original Black Panther movie, which is one of mine and many people's one of our favorites when it comes to Marvel. When it comes to where the most credit, I guess, should go to, off the top of my head, I think it has to go to Ryan Coogler, who does a spectacular job not only directing but coming up with the original story, helped write the screenplay, and then I think it's Joe or John Robert Cole, Joe Robert Cole, I think, is the other co-writer on the screenplay, and they just absolutely nailed it. And they were just in such a tough spot with the death of Chadwick Boseman, just that really early tragic death, and we all were looking so forward to what he was going to do, and this is just such a wonderful spotlight of his legacy. Yet it opened up into a way where, like, yes, he was wonderful, yes, he was great, yet time marches on, and we will always remember him. And so, yeah, that opening with the Marvel logo, oh my gosh, I was in a packed theater. You could have heard a pin drop in Kansas. How quiet everybody was, and the sniffles you heard throughout the crowd. But the main character of this movie was Shuri, and Letitia Wright, nailed it. Absolutely out of the park. Just spectacular. I know she said some controversial things during the pandemic, and some people were like, "Mm," but I mean, she nails this part. Her story is so singular and so unique. There's so much pain in it, yet you can still see glimpses of the carefree Shuri we saw before. Just absolutely amazing work by her and everyone involved. There are some other amazing performances. I know this doesn't normally get Oscar buzz. This type of movie won't necessarily be seen for the acting categories of the Oscars, but Angela Bassett, oh my gosh, wow, just such a powerful leader, charismatic, makes the hard choice, weight of the world on her shoulders, yet caring for others, and just absolutely spectacular. Angela Bassett, that was amazing. Lupita, as always, Lupita's amazing, and just seeing the evolution of her character, and it was a little sketchy on why she might leave and so on and so forth, and be gone for that 5 or 6 years. But again, when you have actors like they do here, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. And she was spectacular. Okoye was spectacular. Just absolutely amazing. Julia Louise Dreyfus as I believe it's the Contessa character was barely in the movie, but had exactly the right notes. Hit a perfect performance for it. I feel like kind of before they were portraying the character, and I'm sure this was notes to her, and just the shallowness of the script she's working with. Before, she was just trying too hard. It felt like they're trying too hard to make that character like Natasha from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Like if she had a mustache, she'd be twirling it. She's just, and this one, she had depth to it, and I could see how she would be evil. You know what I mean? Like she was, it wasn't that she was acting evil. It was like, oh no, no, she is evil. She is evil in what she wants to do. So amazing. And you'll notice all I've been talking about is the female actresses, and it was an incredibly female centric movie, but it was absolutely spectacular. Usually, sometimes the movies with such a large female ensemble cast really kind of focuses on the girl power aspect of it, or it kind of seems like it, or they're kind of, pandering, and it was none of that. I have no issue recommending this movie to absolutely anyone. It is powerful, wonderful performances. By a huge amount of women, and it's wonderful. It's perfect. It's amazing. So that was good. Martin Freeman again, he was great. Oh, I forgot Lake Bell. Lake Bell's in it for a minute, and she's great. I was really impressed by her performance in something that could be just a throwaway, and it's Lake Bell, so she knocks it out of the park. When it comes to the guys though were amazing. I mean, got to give it up to Winston Duke always. He's taken the Man Ape character, which was always just like a side character in Marvel, at least when I was collecting, and he is amazing. He's really grown that character more. He does great. The other, and then the big one we got to talk about is we need to talk about Atlantis, and we need to talk about Namor. And I'm kind of split I'm kind of split on it. Overall, as a person who likes movies and likes watching movies, it was amazing and perfect. A great way to bring in the Namor character into the MCU. I'm going to talk just a little bit a second, just a second, as a comic books fan, and it's a wonderful character, but it's not Namor from the comics, at least to me. The Namor I grew up with who is one of my favorite characters, and I just his short temperedness. Like you, in the comics, we got to see Namor go from a just spoiled, amazingly powerful, but spoiled, short-tempered, vindictive man into this very complex ruler and king. And in this, and so the story they're saying in here is different. And just from a physical perspective, Namor needs to be like 0.5 body fat. To me, he needs to like Hugh Jackman when he's bumped up as Wolverine needs to look at Namor and go like, okay, that guy's got a better body than me. Just powerful predator body. And he also in the comics, like he's a guy you always trust your wife or your girlfriend, but like you're nervous when he's in the room. Like, to me, for it to really be Namor, like I've got to watch the movie with my wife next to me, and I have to like, he comes on the screen, I just have to kind of like put my arm around and be like, yeah, you're married to me, right? I'm a good guy, right? But again, that's not what they were looking at. So, past that, one of the things that I liked about this movie is the journey of Namor here is like, hey, he's already king. And he's very much more diplomatic than Namor almost ever is in the comics, especially in his early appearances. And it's it's a really good performance by Tinoch. I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry. You're amazing. You're an amazing actor, I promise. But Tinoch is amazing in the role. I loved the Mesoamerica tying into that. Great. Absolutely great. I also liked the way to get to Namor with Noe More, which could be seen as cheesy, but I mean, I think that's a real credit to Tinoch that it's like, yeah, no, okay, I get it. That's totally cool. Yeah, great work by him and Ryan to sell that. Love the symbol. That was cool. Love the water, the picture of Atlantis with the sun. Also the fighting. I'm not gonna lie, when he first had those little flippy floppy wings, I was like, when he first comes across the water. But then when he starts actually fighting, the fighting is a type of fighting we've never seen before, which makes a ton of sense with those types of powers. Kind of like fighting underwater but up in the air, and he does a lot of stops and starts that you would see would be very difficult to combat, not nearly as fluid or as predictable as your normal flying character. So that was all amazing. The only things with Atlantis where I was like was I also liked that he's the first mutant. I like how they kind of set that up. I know it was mentioned in Ms. Marvel, but I mean, this one made much more sense to me and hit really, really well. And then the thing with Atlantis is, and again, it might just be the story, but it made it sound like there's just this little tribe of 10 people, 20 people who like go off and start Atlantis, and then suddenly it's a big underwater kingdom. And so I'm kind of like, okay, I know how the genetics work, so I'm not sure. So I realize I might be thinking too much. Same thing with sometimes Atlanteans were blue, sometimes they were had regular skin tone. And that was a little weird to me. I kind of expected, if there was an explanation, I might have missed it. So I'm sorry if I missed it. Yeah. Oh, Riri as I'm sorry, I'm so scattered. So Riri Ironheart, amazing. When she's excited about she's excited to be getting recruited by Wakanda. I was just like, that just totally made me laugh. And I actually stopped collecting before she was introduced, so I don't really know much about the character at all. I absolutely loved her, so I thought that was outstanding. And it's Iron Man-ish without being Iron Man, which I thought was going to be the biggest issue, was how they were going to do that. But they nailed it, like this entire movie. Yeah, I think. Important to note, there's only a mid-credit scene that's spectacular. I'll talk about in a second, and then no end-credit scene. And I liked that, in that I don't think you should just do mid-credit or end-credit scenes without a purpose, without it being just hilariously entertaining or point you to the next direction you're going in a insightful way that makes you want to see where it's going. And they just had one mid-credit scene that was amazing with learning that T'Challa did have a kid with Lupita, and that was a beautiful little scene, nice little thing of hope. And that also that kind of leads me to the end of the movie, which off and on, it's a discussion about like science versus spirituality, and I thought that it was made total sense with how it was going. How is there a world beyond ours, and Shuri just believing that there isn't, and it's just something that we make up in our head. Yet at the end, her doing the meditation exercise that her mother asked her to do and getting comfort in that, I thought was just um, a wonderful meditation on what it means to be human. That that we aren't just zeros and ones, and that we do have a spiritual side, even if we're very atheistic. So I thought that was a beautiful way to split that down the middle. So anyway, I hope you guys liked it. I don't know if I'll allow comments, but if I do, feel free to let me know what you thought. You guys are great, and as always, make mine Marvel, which I don't think you would know unless you're as old as I am. But anyway, that's my dad joke. Bye.